Have you ever stopped to wonder how an app like Instagram or Netflix actually works? I mean, it seems incredibly complex, right? But what if I told you that underneath it all, there's a simple, elegant structure that powers pretty much everything? Today, we're going to pull back that curtain and break it all down.
Welcome to a LeafTech Solutions Learning Explainer. We're all about getting to the why behind the what, and today we are digging down to the very foundation of how all modern software is built.
That's not an exaggeration, it's the truth. No matter how different they look or what they do, they all share the same architectural DNA. Once you understand this one concept, you basically have the blueprint for the entire digital world. And that master blueprint, it's built on just three core ideas. Three distinct pillars that work together in perfect harmony to make everything happen. Now, this idea of separating things into layers isn't just a style or a trend. It's a core engineering discipline. It's the architectural blueprint that lets an app grow from a tiny project into a global phenomenon without completely collapsing on itself. I mean, just imagine trying to build a house where the plumbing, the electrical wiring, and the support beams were all tangled up into one giant mess. It would be an absolute nightmare, right? Well, that's exactly what happens when you mix your user interface, your business rules, and your data storage. This separation isn't just a nice-to-have, it's completely essential. To make this all crystal clear, we're going to use a really simple analogy for the rest of this explainer. Just think of the front end as the interface you interact with. The back end, well, that's the brain, doing all the thinking. And the database, that's the memory, remembering everything. Let's break down each one. Okay, so let's dive right into our first pillar, the front end. This is the part of the application that you, the user, can actually see, touch, and interact with. It's everything you experience on your screen. Its main job is to create the entire user experience. It takes a bunch of data from the system and makes it look good, whether that's your feed, a movie poster, or just a simple login screen. And of course, it's also listening to you. It collects everything you type and every button you click.
Now, this slide is so important because it draws a very clear line in the sand. The front end handles the look and feel, sure, but it should never contain the secret sauce, the business rules, or have direct access to the database. And why is that? Because it's running on your device, which makes it an untrusted environment. You just can't trust it to enforce the most critical rules.
So let's move on to the second pillar. If the front end is the face, the back end is the brain. This is where all the heavy lifting and the real thinking happens, safely tucked away on a powerful server somewhere. The back end basically acts as the central command for the entire application. It gets requests from the front end, processes them according to all the rules, talks to the database if it needs to, and then sends a clear response back. It is the absolute gatekeeper for all your data and all your logic. The most crucial point here is that the back end is the trusted layer. It's the bouncer that enforces the rules, like, hey, a user can only edit their own profile. It validates every single piece of data coming from that untrusted front end to make sure it's legit before it ever gets near the database. For your app's logic, this layer is the single source of truth. And that brings us to our third and final pillar, the database. This is the piece that gives our application its memory, making sure that important information sticks around.
You know, the database has a very focused but incredibly critical job. Just remember things, and remember them perfectly. It's highly optimized for storing, finding, and sending back data as fast and as reliably as humanly possible. Think of it as the application's perfect long-term memory.
And this slide just illustrates its purpose so well. The database is like a powerful but very obedient librarian. It manages all the books, the data, but it doesn't get to decide who checks them out. That decision is always made by the backend. The database should never, ever contain business logic or be exposed directly to an end user. Okay, so we've met the interface, the brain, and the memory. Now let's see them all work together in a simple, real-world example. Let's say we're saving a note in an app. So here's how it plays out. First, you're on the front end. You type out your note, and you hit save. The front end bundles that data up and sends it to the back end. The back end catches it and immediately checks everything. Is the user logged in? Is the data valid? Then, once it's happy, the back end tells the database to store the note. The database confirms that it's done. The backend then prepares a simple success response and sends it back to the front end. Finally, the front end gets that all good message and updates the screen to show you that your note has been saved. It's a beautiful, logical flow that is sacred in software design.
So, we've covered the what and the how. But to really understand why this is such a big deal, we need to ask the most important question in all of modern software development.
Seriously, why go to all this trouble to keep these three pillars so separate?
Well, the answer is the absolute key to building software that can actually grow and adapt to the real world.
This separation is the secret sauce. Let's say your app goes viral overnight. You can add more brain power by scaling up your backend without ever having to touch the interface. Want to launch a fresh new look? Your front-end team can completely redesign the app without breaking any of the core logic. This independence is what makes things like automated updates, containerization with tools like Docker, and really the entire world of DevOps even possible. And that's really the ultimate takeaway here. The entire culture, all the tools of DevOps exist to support, automate, and protect this fundamental three-tier architecture. It's all about making sure the interface, the brain, and the memory all stay fast, reliable, and secure, no matter how massively huge your application gets.